We are starting our second week of day one. Okay, can anybody tell me what was last week's, what was our series scripture? Can anybody remember without seeing? But you watched online, didn't you? So you should have remembered. Oh, so you weren't paying attention. That's good. Romans chapter what? I'll give you a hint. Romans what? 12. Verse what? Verse 2. All right, thank you. So let's check this out real quick. The guy's going to throw it on the screen. It says, do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the what? Renewal of your mind, that by testing you may discern what the will of God, what is good and acceptable and perfect. So last week I told you guys we started this brand new series called Day One that, hey, look, 2017 doesn't have to be a reason to be a new you, right? We talked about how every New Year's, everybody brings up the fact, hey, we gotta start a new you. It's gotta be somebody different, you gotta be changed. What's wrong with the person I am, right? Why can't I make myself only better? Why do I have to completely do a 180 and change everything? Why can't I just build on who I am already? So we said, look, day one, this is your chance. We said last Wednesday was your January 1st. This is your chance to start over, start new. And we said this month we're going to give you some practical ways that we can do that. Just so that way we can make the most out of 2017. We can do what? What was the main point last week that we need to walk away? We need to do what this year? We need to choose to impact, right? Choose to impact. Remember I told you guys, who's your Sam, okay? Who are you going to find? Who's your Sam? Who are you going to find that you're going to make a difference on? Who are you going to affect this year? Who are you going to change? So, but as we get into tonight, we're going to look at another side of that. I named your message tonight, What Were You Thinking? Okay, so if you want to write that down, that's the message tonight. What were you thinking? Okay, some of you guys probably ask yourselves this question a whole lot during the day. Okay, some of you guys probably think, what was I thinking? What was I doing? What was going through my mind? So think about this though, real quick. How many times have you guys caught yourself wishing you had something to make life easier? And I'm not saying like I wish I had money. I'm not saying like I wish I had boats. I wish I had cars. I wish I had homes. I wish I had all these things. I'm saying like, how many of you have ever said to yourself, I wish I had like powers, like ultimate power, like to do something different. Like I wish that I could just make my life easier if I just had some kind of magical mythic power, like some superhero power. Like if I was like Superman or Spider-Man or, guys, let's face it, Batman's a lame superhero. He has no powers, okay? He's a lame superhero, okay? All he is some dude in a suit that somehow he can survive fighting Batman. That's not real, okay? There's no way. Sorry, Batman's lame. And my name's Adam West, if any of y'all actually catch that, okay? He's not, okay? He's just some dude with a lot of money. Like I would consider Iron Man a real superhero. See, he can legitimately do things in that suit. That's a superhero. Batman, on the other hand, Batman's lame, okay? Batman's lame. That's all it is. But check this out. Check this out real quick. Some things that could make life easier, okay? The ability to fly. Am I right? Am I wrong? Like, how many of you get stuck in school traffic? You just hate it. Like whether you're driving or you're getting dropped off by your mommy, which that's cool. All right, that's all right. But you're sitting in the car, you're like, I would give anything if I could just get there. And even anywhere you go, you can say, if I could just fly there, life would be so much easier. Like if I could just go. What about things like teleport? Like if I could do teleportation, right? Like you wake up, you're supposed to be at school by like 7:15. It's 7 o'clock. You're like, if I have one more tardy. Some of you guys just started back to school with a new semester and you've already pushed the amount of tardies you're supposed to have this semester. Some of y'all in here are laughing because that's you. You can say, look, if I could just wake up, throw my clothes on, snap my fingers, and I teleport to class. How much easier would that make life if I could just do that? Some other ones I said, super strength, right? Like when I get mad, I can throw a bus at somebody. Like I can pick it up, I can just flatten them, toss it. When I want to have like super strength or I want to be some like super athlete, if I just had super strength, I could do whatever I want. Like I could crush somebody with my thumb just because I have super strength. Some other one, some of you in this room probably really need this, but you wish you had like the brains, right? Like you wish you just had super smarts, that you could be smart for anything. Like you could remember anything, you could outsmart anybody. Like somebody throws this ridiculous math problem out there and you can figure it out in a second, right? Like you have this like crazy ability to remember everything. But all these things are things that can make our daily lives better. Here's what I want you to do real quick, just so we can get you guys like energized, okay? It looks like school's wearing y'all down. Turn to the person next to you and share. If I didn't say something different, if there's something I missed, I want y'all to share with somebody next to you what's a power you wish you had that make life better. Like, come on. You can actually turn. You can talk to somebody. What's something you wish you could do? What is it? Say it again. Super speed. Oh, I didn't think about that one. That'd be like Quicksilver. Like that you could make infinite money. What? Oh, that's weird. I'm sorry, if you're one of those people that's cool with invisibility, that's just weird. Like you're just wanting to watch. That's just crazy. What is it? What's one you wish? Go ahead. Hold on. Let's hear it. What is it, Hayden? Does it have anything to do with ranch? Like you could make ranch in a heartbeat, like ranch. Is that what you wish you did? If you guys want to know what that means, just ask her after church tonight. What's the ranch story? Hayden's nickname is Ranch. So, but hey, so some of these things I heard super speed. I mean, how many of you life would be easier that way, right? Like you could do super speed. What are some other ones? Throw some out there that I didn't say. We said invisibility. I still think that's kind of weird. That means you just like to spy on people. That's weird. All right. Something to make you skinnier. That would be amazing. If I could just say, you know what? I'm tired. I want to eat what I want. Make myself small. What? Y'all got some of these, like, that doesn't make easier. That's just that's what you want. Telekinesis, you can move things with your mind. Like, pick it up, move it. Dylan, that's where it's at, right? So here's what I said. If I could choose one thing for me that would be a power that would make my life better, it would be able to read people's minds. Like, I just want to read someone's mind. Like, check it. You know why? Because how much easier would life be if we could just read somebody's mind, right? Like, if I could just know I didn't hear you, I'm sorry. But hey, at least you and I are on the same wavelength, right? Like I just want to know sometimes, I just want to know what people are thinking. Do you not agree that it would make life, not just make life easier, but sometimes it would make life better with those people that you think are just a little bit not the brightest crayon in the box? Like, think about it. Like, check this. This is one of the main reasons why I wish I could read minds. You guys have no idea how much I get in trouble with Emily, okay? If I could just read Emily's mind sometimes, because she's really rude. Like, she doesn't like to share things. Yeah, she is. Like, she's rude about stuff. Like, when I've done something wrong, she doesn't say anything, okay? Like, if I say something, no, check this out. Listen, if I say something or I do something wrong, she just does this. Well, I need to know what it is. And sometimes, like, I need to know what she's saying. Like, typically, she'll be like, we've already talked about this. If I could just read her mind and I could skip that, like, look, she does tell me. Sometimes I don't listen. I'll admit it. I wish I had the power of listening. I probably could use it, okay? But she'll say something to me, and she'll be like, she'll just stare. She won't say anything, guys. She'll just stare at me like, and I'm like, did we talk about this? Is this something we've already done? Is this a plan we made? Like last night, guys, I got home and she told me what she was doing with dinner. I reached in the fridge, got some milk, turned back around. I was like, hey, babe, why's the cheese out? I literally just told you why the cheese was out. Like, if I had been able to read her mind, I probably wouldn't ask that question. Here's another reason why. I wish I could read her mind so I know what I'm getting tested. Fellas, when you find a woman one day that you want to spend your life with, you're going to be tested. Like, you're going to be told you can do something, and all you're doing is being tested. Like, for instance, right now, Addison's growing older. We had to get her these nice big car seats. Well, I want her to face forward, okay? And you guys won't think it's a big deal, but apparently it is. She faces backwards, facing the back of the car. I just want her to face forward. Apparently there's certain ages before they can do it and certain weights that they do it. I want her to face forward, okay? I tell Emily, she goes, no, we're not facing her forward till she's 2 years old. And I'm like, babe, look, it'll be fine. Like, let's just face her forward. Nothing's going to happen. Like, the instruction manual said she's of weight and age. She's fine. And she said, you know what? Here's what we'll do. I have a car seat. You have a car seat. You can do it frontward in yours, and I'll do it backwards in mine. So in my mind, I'm celebrating. I'm like, yeah, that's a win. Like, I get to do what I want. I just want to know if she's testing me. In my mind. If you guys want to know what I ended up doing, just go look at my car. It still faces backwards, okay? I felt like she was testing me. I felt like that's where it's at. Fellas, check me if I'm wrong. Do you not wish you could read a girl's mind when you're like, hey, where do you want to go eat at? Oh, I don't know. Where do you want to eat at? Like, where do you want to go? Like, we all know there's something that's popped into your mind, but you won't even mention it. Like, you won't even name a couple things. Like, you say, hey, so what are you in the mood for? I don't know, whatever you want. What do you want? Like, what do you want from me? Like, just tell me. Like, guys, you wish you could just read a girl's mind. Girls, Sometimes when you find that guy that you're interested in, do you not just want to know? Like you feel like they're just playing games? Do you not just wish you could say, what are you doing? They do. Girls play games more than guys. But sometimes you want to say, hey, why are you just talking? That's not lies. That's truth. I'm a guy. I know. That's not lies. But you wish you could know. Here's the other reason why. I wish I could read people's minds because sometimes people do stupid things. And I just want to know why. I just want to know. I didn't blow those other people. I just want to know why. I want to know what's going through people's heads. Guys, I promise you, I have some staff that work for me that I just want to be like, what are you thinking? Like, why? Like, what? Like, this summer, I had some very stupid things go down. I just want to be like, what? Like, at that point in time, what was going through your mind? As soon as I thought about this, I was reminded of a guy that used to work for me. Great kid, loved him to death. His dad worked for me. His name was CJ, okay? CJ was a great guy. One day I asked CJ, I said, hey, CJ, look, man, it's kind of slow at the pool. And this is like my first year at Greystone. I said, look, it's kind of slow. I need you to do me a favor. I need you to go and vacuum the pool. I need you to go out there, help me out. We need to get it cleaned. So he's like, yeah, I'll get it done for you, Adam. I'll walk out there and do it. About 10 or 15 minutes go by. I notice that CJ's not vacuuming yet. Like he's kind of standing on the side of the pool. I walk outside, and guys, this is me. Like I walk out, and I'm like, what are you doing? Like, why? And guys, this is what I found. When I walked outside, I took this picture to remember this. This is exactly what I found when I walked outside. If you don't know, first and foremost, that's not a pool vacuum. That's a shop vac. He said, Adam, I can't get it to work. It keeps filling with water. And I said, that's because it's a shop vac, CJ. It's not a vacuum. That's not what it's made for. Yes, it does suck up water, but only to a certain point. Like a regular pool vacuum sucks up water and spits it out. He said, every time I do it, it shoots out of every direction of the vacuum. And I should be like, why? And he's a good kid, but he's not the brightest crayon in the box. And I hope one day he sees this message and he goes, hey, that was me. I remember that. But this was CJ. That's what he did. And look, guys, he's proud of it. He's like, I did my job. I vacuumed the pool. No, you didn't, kid. You didn't, and you were one short of shocking every person that was in that pool and almost killing them because it's plugged in. I don't know why. Thank you. Point in case. Why does he have a broom in his hand? You know what would be awesome? If I could read his mind and I could understand. If I could understand. But here's the thing, guys. As awesome as it would be to be able to read people's minds, and as awesome as life would be to make our lives better, we don't have that ability. But you guys know what we do? We do have the ability to control our own minds. And we do have the ability to control how we think and what goes through and what we process in our minds. And it's extremely important that we do. Here's the thing you got to understand, guys, is as believers, the way we think is just as important to our faith as our physical walk. Because when you look at that, how you think is what you do. So what goes through your mind, what you think about, the things that you kind of process, it's really your starting point. Like what you do on the outside, or how you react, how you think is really what you see on the outside, what you do. Check this out. If you guys were to take like a cup, and you have a cup, like say you just had a cup of coffee, it's dirty, you got to wash it, you clean it. You can do as much time as you want cleaning the outside of that cup. You can polish it, you can wipe it down, you can get all the coffee stains off of it, you can do as much as you want. But guess what? If you don't clean the inside of the cup is still dirty. The cup's still going to stay dirty. And here's what you do when you look at that, guys. If you were to take that cup and you were to relate that to your own walk with Christ, to your own life, you can do as much as you want, guys. You can spend your life cleaning up the outside of your life. You can show up to church on Wednesdays. You can say, hey, I'm going to be a part of small groups. You can say that I do these things. But guys, if you only clean up the outside of your appearance, the inside is still dirty. If you only take time cleaning up what's on the outside, the inside of your body, your heart, your soul, your mind is still dirty. So you want to focus on making sure that not only do we clean the inside, but we check what goes in. See, guys, in 2017, I want you to find that it's important how you face this year. And I want you to find how important it is, not just the things that you do, but how you think, how you focus on things, how you look at the things that we do. Because, guys, if you put your attention, if you say in 2017, I'm going to commit to how I think. I'm going to focus on how I think. I'm going to make sure that that's something that I put in perspective, how I think, guys, is going to be a game changer for you in 2017. Because everything you do with your life starts with here. Every move you make starts with here. Because at some point, before you make an action, before you do something, it's gone through your mind. You've asked yourself, is this a good idea? Is this a bad idea? Will this make me a better person? Will this impact somebody else? At some point, whatever the question that went through your mind before you perform an action, it's gone through your mind. So it's just as important that you guys don't just focus on the outside. Don't just focus on what you do, but focus on how you think. So tonight, that's what I want to do. I want to look a little bit into that on how we think. And I want to give you some practical ways that you can kind of in your mind. And I got 3 things that I want you guys to write down tonight. So when you think about these things, it helps you retain it and it helps you remember. Like I told you last week, go home, write it on the mirror. Like guys, steal your mom's lipstick, write it all over. Girls, write it somewhere, whatever you want to do. Put it on your mirror so it's the first thing you see in the morning. So you hear it, you think about it, you focus on it, whatever it is, put it somewhere that day you're going to remember these things so that way it's in your mind. So the first thing that I have for you guys is I want you to change it. Okay, I want you to change it. When I say change it, I mean your perspective. Okay, I mean how you look and how you think about things. You know, guys, if sometimes you take and you really change your perspective, if you change how you think about stuff, sometimes that's the only thing you need to get back in focus. Maybe you're just looking at things a different way. Maybe you're thinking about things a different way. Think about it this way. Do you know how easy it is for us to get settled in? How many of you guys are just settled into a routine? Like you say, every morning I get up at like 6 o'clock. Every morning I got to be in the shower by 6:15. I don't want to be late. Every morning I got to have breakfast by this time, or I got to do this. It's a routine. And guys, when you get settled into that, when you get in that mindset and you get settled into a routine, it can be so easy to forget what actually matters because you're just doing it. It becomes daily. It becomes part of your life. Your mind becomes numb to everything that you do. Check this out in 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 18. It says this. It says, we set our eyes not on what we see, but on what we cannot see. What we see will last only a short time, but what we cannot see will last a lifetime. You know, when I read that verse, the first thing that came to my mind is I said, I feel like sometimes we focus on what's in front of us. Like we focus on the here and the now, right? Like we focus on what we can see. We don't think about the things that we do. We don't use our mind. We don't change our perspective to understand that down the road, there's things that are going to happen. Like we don't think about the fact, like we want to take everything that we're doing right now. We don't think about what's coming down the future. We don't think about the actions that we take now are going to change what we do, but you want your focus on what's happening now. You want to focus on what you see now. You want to make sure so that way the things in your life that you think are unclear become clearer down the road to your walk. And what that means is, guys, is you got to focus on the small things in life. You got to focus on the itty-bitty things, the little things that make a difference. You know, this past weekend, how many of you guys are Cowboys fans? Any Cowboys fans in here? How many of you guys are bandwagon Cowboy fans because of Dak Prescott? Let's just be honest. Guys, look, I hate the Cowboys too, but you should be a fan strictly because everybody talks about how SEC quarterbacks are terrible, okay? Dak Prescott's the real deal, okay? Here's the thing. Here's Cam Newton's a loser. Here's the thing about Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott, not only is he a legitimate quarterback, not only has he, as a rookie, set the Dallas Cowboys to the best record they've ever had, Dak Prescott has this mindset about him. There's a reason why you guys see Dak Prescott being successful. And what was really cool is I heard on a news show, there's a reporter called Colin Cowherd. He's extremely controversial. He literally does nothing but to ruffle people's feathers. But I was watching his show, and I heard him say something that kind of stuck out to me. And he was kind of talking about why is Dak Prescott successful? Why is a rookie, somebody that's brand new to the league, that barely is 22 years old, why was he able to play in a league of men and take them to one of their best records that they have and the best record in the NFL? I want you guys real quick, I want you to listen to what Colin Cowherd says and watch what he points out about Dak Prescott real quick.
The little things matter. So I'm watching the Cowboys game yesterday, fourth quarter late. Baltimore and Dallas are two very good football teams. I mean, when it came to yards and passing and rushing, fairly even. I mean, Dallas's offensive line is great. Obviously makes every part of their team better. But Dak Prescott, fourth quarter late, did something, and I'm not sure how many of you noticed this. It was very small. Dak Prescott was on the bench in the fourth quarter, game in hand, and he has a cup in his hand. He's drinking some water, and he tosses it over his shoulder, and it just misses. And he goes over, picks it up, and puts it in the garbage. No big deal, right? Either there's that eye roll that brief interruption, that doesn't look like much. But it mattered to Dak Prescott. Because the little things always become big things. Conscientious is Dak Prescott. Aware, concerned about those around him, surroundings, little stuff. Now, you're going to say to yourself, Colin, this is ridiculous. But I think stuff like that always becomes big stuff. That Dak Prescott on the bench, little toss over his shoulder, just because that cup didn't go in the garbage can, somebody else is going to clean it up. It bothered Dak Prescott enough to walk over and put that little paper cup in the big garbage can. It bothered him enough. That's a guy who's going to give you an extra rep at practice, who's going to open the door for a teammate, who's going to make sure everybody's included in the huddle. All that little stuff becomes big stuff.
Did you guys hear how he ended that? Small things, essentially what he's saying is small things always turn into big things. I want you to write that down. Small things always turn into big things. What that was, if you heard that, what he's talking about with Dak Prescott, like that's something small, like minute, like it's a small detail. Like most of us, let's just be honest, most of us in this room probably wouldn't have gone and picked up. We would have been on the sideline. We would have said, hey, look, somebody else is going to pick it up. So it's somebody else's job to clean up the cups. Like we wouldn't have thought about it. But Dak Prescott said, you know what, exactly heard what Colin said. It bothered him that much that he got up, picked up the piece of paper, the paper cup, and threw it in the trash. Because the little things always turn into big things. What he's trying to say is that everything he's focused on is these small details, like picking up a cup. That means he's focused on the little bitty things in our lives. That's exactly where I want you guys to look at your own life. Look at your life with Christ. Focus on the little things this year. Focus on the small, minute details, because if you don't, the small things will always turn into big things. Like something like this. Take this for example. Maybe you have somebody that you're hanging out with, somebody that you're potentially interested in, and you're hanging out, you spend together, you kind of hang out after school, you hang out on the weekends, you kind of, you kind of look for things to do, and so one day, maybe your parents aren't home, and you're like, hey, I'm just going to kind of go, we're going to go hang out, no big deal. Like we're going to watch a movie, hang out, big deal. Next thing you know, you're making a decision you shouldn't do, because you put yourself in a situation you shouldn't be in. And the small thing of just kind of hanging out, like it's no big deal, right? Like we're just hanging out at the house. Next thing you know, you're making choices that you shouldn't. Next thing you know, you're making choices that are going to somehow affect your life way down the road. The small, minute details always turn to big things. Some of the other things I looked at is things like looking at things on the internet. Maybe you say, hey, there's things I look at on Instagram or videos I watch on YouTube, or when nobody's home, there's things that I'm looking at. It's right at my fingertips. It's okay. It's not a big deal. I'm not hurting anybody. I'm just kind of looking at stuff I shouldn't. And so you continue to do it over and over and over again. And the next thing you know, you develop an addiction to it. And the next thing you know, because you're addicted to looking at things that you shouldn't, it ruins a marriage down the road. It ruins a family down the road. And I understand you guys are young, you're in high school, but these are the things I'm talking about looking at in 2017. Looking at the small, minute details that you have no idea the choices that you make now are going to affect what you do down the road. And the small things that you do now may make big things. Maybe maybe you're in a relationship with someone. Maybe you have somebody that you're dating. Maybe you have somebody that you're seeing, whether it's a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, a year, whatever it is. Maybe you have somebody else of the opposite sex that sometimes you date. That you text and you're talking to and you're dating this other person. It's just little things like you're talking about school, or you're talking about homework, or you're talking about this. Next thing you know, you're into a conversation and you're kind of talking about things that you just shouldn't be. And the next thing you know, you're starting to develop feelings for this person. Very small, minute details. All it did was started out as you just talking. That's all it was. It started out as you guys talking about school. And then the next thing you know, you're making choices that you shouldn't be doing, and you're somebody that's turned into a jerk, or somebody that's turned into somebody that doesn't understand what it means to have loyalty just because all you did was start out with a small conversation. Guys, it can be something even as small as minute as where you spend your time at lunch. Maybe you have a group that you sit with. And all the time, like they're talking about things that you know I shouldn't be a part of this. This isn't making me better. This isn't helping me grow in my walk. This isn't who I should be focused on with my time. But these little details of where you eat lunch at, the next thing you know, you're out doing things with them you shouldn't be. You're making decisions that you shouldn't be, that you're going places that you know in your heart you shouldn't be a part of. And see, guys, all these little bitty things, think about right now. Think about all the choices that you make in a day and think about what it does. Think about how it changes and affects your life. You know, it says in Proverbs chapter 4, verse 23, carefully guard your thoughts because they are the source of true life. What that verse is telling you guys is the truth is what matters. We have to focus on the little things before they turn into big things. Do you guys know that if you allow your minds to be changed by the Holy Spirit, And guys, what that's going to do is going to open the door for you to understand the plans that God has for your life. All you have to do is change your perspective. The next thing that I have for you guys is to use it. To use it. When I see that, what I mean essentially is to exercise it. Exercise your minds. How many of you guys have had that teacher or parent that's like, you have so much potential? Like if you would just do your homework, like if you would just turn things in on time, like if you would just take out the trash, like if you would just do whatever it is you can see in you, but they say you have so much potential if you would just do it. The bad part is I've been on the receiving end of that conversation way too many times in my life. Even to this day, I probably still get on the receiving end of that conversation. Unfortunately, they're right. And they say to your mind, if only you did this, you'd have so much potential. You know, when my mom and dad were in college, my mom used to hate the fact that she would spend a week or 2 weeks studying for a test. I mean, like she would be up to all hours of the night studying. And my dad would come in and he would just say, hey, can I borrow your notes? And he's studying for like an hour, go in the next day, do a better grade on the test than she does. How in the world he retained it, how in the world he kept it, I have no idea. But here's the thing with that, guys. There's probably not many people in this room that can do that. There's not many people in this room that we're able just to remember and retain things that we look at, that we see, especially when it comes to God's word, guys. Just because you hear something during church, just because you hear something at a small group, just because you hear it doesn't mean that you're actually living it out. Doesn't mean that you're actually using it. Like check this, next month I'm super excited because I'm going to be running in my second half marathon. And I've been spending the past 6 or 7 weeks training. I got about 6 or 7 more weeks to go before the half marathon starts. But here's the thing, guys. I can't just show up on race day and think that I'm going to blow it out. I can't show up on race day and think that there's any way that I'm going to run 13 miles continuously without stopping. If I don't take the time to put into it, if I don't exercise the training, like right now, like my entire week is planned out based on when I'm running, when I'm doing long runs, short runs, recovery runs. Like I have all these things planned out so that way when that time comes in February, I'm ready to go. That I'm ready to face it and see. Here's the thing with that too, guys. Much like our faith, just because you know of God doesn't mean you technically have a walk with God unless you exercise it. You can't just say, hey, I know who God is. I know who Jesus is. That means I have a strong faith. That means I'm ready to go. But unless you're exercising it, unless you're actually using it, that walk is not going to be as strong as it should be. In Matthew chapter 22, we see Jesus. He's being tested by these people called the Pharisees and the Sadducees. And in Matthew chapter 22, they're trying to like take the polish off Jesus. They're trying to do whatever they can to trip him up. Like they're trying to ask him all these questions, just hoping that he's going to fumble over his own words and they can make him seem like, Jesus, you're not as big as everybody tries to make you seem. You're not as big as you like to see. So finally, one of the guys says, look, I'm going to ask Jesus a question and see if I can catch him up. Here's what he says in verse 36. He says, teacher, which command in the law is the most important? I always picture him like, hi, guys, I got Jesus. Like, I got this. Like, watch, I'm going to trip him up. Like, I'm going to ask him this really big, deep question. He's not going to answer it, and we're going to prove that he's not really as good as he is. You know how Jesus is. Jesus doesn't sweat. He don't need no deodorant. I've told you all that before. Like, Jesus got this. All right, he's good. He answers. Here's what he says in verse 37. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your soul, and all your mind. All right, so you hear that, and you're like, all right, so that's the typical basic, like, Christian response, right? Like that's how we respond. That's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to love God with our heart, our soul, and our mind. But what you should have picked out in there, the most important part is when he talks about loving God with all your mind. So what does that mean? How do you love God with all your mind? I don't understand that. How are we supposed to do that? Guys, the simple answer to that, the simple answer to loving God with all your heart or all your mind is just to be informed. It's by being informed. Guess what that means is that you understand the faith that you follow. There's so many times that somebody just says, I'll raise my hand, I'll accept Christ, I'll do it, but they don't understand what they're choosing to follow. If you're a believer, if you choose to do that, if you say, I want to change my life, you have to understand what you're doing. You have to know, but you can't do that without exercising it. You can't do that without putting there. And here's the whole reason behind that, because at some point, guys, you're going to be just like Jesus. You're going to be sitting down at a table with all your friends, and they're going to know that you're a believer. They're going to know that you're a Christian. They're going to question you. And they're going to question your faith, and they're going to ask about it, and they're going to ask why you believe that, whether it's now, whether it's in college, whether you're an adult. At some point in your life, somebody's going to ask you why you choose to live the way you do. And unless you spend time exercising it, you're not going to be able to answer that. So that way you're ready for when it comes. The last one I have for you guys is to keep it. Is to keep it. I told you guys last week that, everything doesn't happen overnight. We can't plant something and expect the next day to be full grown and ready to go. It takes time for it to be there, but you guys have to take time. You have to keep at it. You have to keep pressing on. You have to be able to put that time in so you have a sharp and focused mind, but that doesn't come without practice. Check this, what it says in Proverbs chapter 27, verse 4. It says, as a man thinks, so he is. Simple enough, right? So as we think, so he is. But if you don't keep at it, if you don't keep putting the time in, if you don't keep studying the word, guys, you're not going to be able to do that. I can tell you guys right now, one of the best things that y'all can do is your Bible app. Okay, most people in here have a phone that you can download apps. I challenge you this week, if you already don't have it, download the Bible app, because here's why. This is a perfect way for you to change your perspective. It's a perfect way for you to exercise. Guys, it's a perfect way for you to keep at it, because here's what you can do. I want you to go on that Bible app. I want you to find a devotion. You can go into the section. You can type whatever it is you're dealing with. Maybe right now you're dealing with stress. Maybe you're dealing with family problems. Maybe you're dealing with relationship problems. Maybe you're dealing with the fact that you don't feel like you're liked. Maybe you don't feel like you fit in. Maybe you just don't feel like whatever it is. Maybe you don't understand who God is. Maybe you have a book of the Bible you want to understand more. Type in the search, find a devotion, and stick to it. Stick to it. Set your phone to remind you daily. Like, set your phone. Like, sometimes you're going to have to get up 15 more minutes early, okay? Some of y'all already get up at like 5:30 in the morning, 5:45. Some of you girls here are like, I got to look good every morning, so I got to get up early, okay? You might be getting up at 5:15 to spend a little bit of time with Jesus, okay? You'll be good. It'll set your mind right. Some of you in this room probably need just a little bit extra time with Jesus before you go to school. Am I right? And some of y'all could probably save that. But the other thing you can do, guys, is find somebody in this room. Before you leave tonight, find somebody that says, hey, will you do the same devotion I'm doing? Because one of the best things that I've told you that keeps me accountable, I love the fact that the Bible app's kind of like social media. It shows when you've completed something. So if you're doing something with somebody, like, hey, I didn't see you do your devotion. I didn't see it in there. You're supposed to have done it by a certain time of the day. Why didn't I see it? Have you done it? Have you spent time with God? It's a way that you can keep at it, that you can find somebody that can help keep you into that. Here's what it says, guys, in Jeremiah chapter 12, verse 3. It says, yet you know me, Lord, you see me, and test my thoughts about you. This is my favorite part. This is what he thinks about when it comes to our thoughts. Drag them off like sheep to be butchered. Set them apart for the day of slaughter. Like that, you're telling Jesus, like, you know what you're doing? You're saying, hey, Jesus, I want you to test my thoughts. I want you to test. Look, when I have a thought that I shouldn't, when my mind's not where it should be, God, I want you to grab hold of that thought, and I want you to drag it off, and I want you to butcher it. Here's the thing, guys. Tonight as the band comes up just to close us out, here's what I want you guys to kind of understand. I can tell you right now, I'm the most critical person probably in this room. It's one of my biggest downfalls. When I spend time with God, every day my prayer is, God, please just keep me from being a critical person. Please just keep me from having to think those thoughts. Guys, when I see somebody else that gets something, maybe I've been spending all this time praying for something. I'm spending all this time like, God, I need you here. God, I need you to feed into my life. God, I need to see some kind of change. And then I see somebody else get something that I've been praying about for so long. Like, I immediately have negativity in my heart. Like, I immediately start thinking critical, like, why not me? Like, I do everything you ask. Like, I spend time with you every day. Like, I get up and I teach students. Like, I do all this stuff. I do what you call me to do. Why not me? But when I see somebody else that may be happy about something that I want, or I wish would happen to me, or I wish that I could see, I'm a critical person. But you know what I do every time that I feel that way? Every time I see something else that brings these negative thoughts to my mind, I've got to say, God, Jesus, grab every one of these thoughts, and I need you to pull them away like you're taking them to get butchered. Get rid of them, cut them up, trash them, toss them away, because what I'm trying to do, guys, is keep my mind clear. I'm trying to keep my mind ready this year, guys. Don't let the small things in your life, like what you think, turn into big things this year. Because if you allow the small things in your life to affect you, things just like emotional thoughts, things like how you see, how you think about everything in your life, if you allow those little bitty things to affect your life, guys, you're going to miss that time that you can choose to impact somebody. I told y'all this is the biggest thing for this series, is I want you to have the ability to impact somebody this year. I want you to have the ability to bring somebody here on a Wednesday, to invite them to a small group, to bring them on a Sunday, something as small at it. I told you, if you just keep at it, but if you allow little things like, they don't answer me back, they don't want to come, they ignore me, they don't want to talk. If you allow those little things, think about that. If you allow that little bitty thing, you have no idea what, if you had just kept at it, if you had poured into that person, what down the road you would have done in their life. So I want to challenge you guys this year. Think differently. Renew your mind. Renew how you think. Change Guys, our minds is the very first thing when it comes to our walk. It's the first thing that shows people who we are. Because everything that happens in here is what actually happens in our actions. What we think here comes into play with what we actually do. You guys bow your heads with me tonight? With all heads bowed and all eyes closed. Guys, I want you to think right now. I want you to think back to today, yesterday, Monday, last week. Maybe even it was back in 2016, whatever it is. I want you to think about something small that's happened in your life that's turned into a big deal. It could simply be hanging out with somebody. It could simply be texting somebody. It could be something as small as not going to something you should be a part of. But I want you to think through your mind right now, and how did that turn out? What did that do in your life? What did that do for you? Guys, today is day one. This whole week, this whole month, day one, a chance to build on what you are. I want to challenge you guys to make that choice. Guys, did you know something is small, and it's not a big deal when you do it, but something as small as raising your hand and saying, I want to ask Christ into my heart. Something as small as a hand raise, think what that could turn into. Think what that could do. Think a month from now, 2 weeks from now, 3 weeks from now, a year from now, on a Wednesday night, you chose to say, hey, I want to give my heart to Christ. And I want to give you that opportunity tonight. Look, I don't think there's anything wrong with who you are right now. I don't think there's any reason for you to completely reinvent yourself. What I do think is tonight is a perfect chance to build on who you are and to make that person better. Sometimes that means starting with the choices that we make daily. I want to give you that time. I want to give you that chance to say, you know what, Adam, I'm ready for that. Guys, it's a simple choice. There's no secret handshake. There's no classes you got to take. You don't have to get up here and stand up in front of everybody and proclaim it from the mountaintop. Guys, it's a one-on-one conversation that you may have right now with God. Right now where you're sitting at, you can just talk, and I promise you He's listening. Talk about what's going on in your life. Talk about what you're dealing with. Talk about where life just doesn't feel like the puzzle pieces are fitting together. Take that time right now and say, Christ, God, I want to think differently. God, I want to open my heart to you. I want to open my life and just say, come into my heart. Be a part of me. Make me a better person. Guys, if that's something that you're doing right now, if that's something that you've done tonight, here's what I want you to do. Nobody's looking. Nobody can see. I don't want that to be a factor to keep you from it, but I want you guys right now, just put your hand up in the air and say, Adam, I'm making that choice. Guys, I see that hand. I see that one on the front row. Guys, that's awesome. One more chance, guys. Tonight that you're ready to make a difference, you're ready to do that. Nobody can see. You don't have anything to worry about. If that's something you want to do, I want to give you just a few more seconds to say, I'm ready for that. I'm ready to make that difference. I'm ready for God to change my life. That's awesome. I see that hand on the second row. I see that on the first row. Guys, that's awesome. That's a big choice that you're making. Guys, this little bitty thing it took you to put your hand in the air is going to change your life down the road. You put your hands down, God. God, we just thank you for these students. God, we thank you for students that understand that sometimes, God, it's just focusing on the small things in our life. And God, here's what I ask is that, God, even just tomorrow, even this week, this month, God, that those that raise their hand today, God, I will ask you that you're just apparent in their life, that, God, you show that little bitty decision to put my hand up is going to just have a magnitude of effect. It's going to affect the lives of so many people around them for years and years to come. God, I ask that you just stand with them, that you help them to change how they think. God, I ask that you keep it in their mind how to use it, and God, that you just help them keep it and to retain it, God. I thank you for what you're doing in the lives of these students today, God. Thank you for your love, your compassion, and your mercy. In your blessed name we pray. Amen.